Hi, welcome to my podcast from London, where I'm going to be discussing any and anything that I fancy from YouTube. So, over the past few days, I've been following Fresh and Fit and Aber and Preach and all of that drama. I've been following the whole manosphere probably since lockdown started, really. And as a single woman, 39 years old, I have learnt an awful lot. But let's get into it. So, where do we really start? I mean, where I'm actually going to start is ABBA. I still do, but I had such a high opinion of him. He's on a pedestal for me. And it's not that he's fallen off of it, but he just somehow doesn't look the same. He seemed above this kind of drama. And now, him taking part in any way, shape, or form, he just doesn't have that same energy that he had before. The raw. I'll be honest, he's not as sexy to me now. That's my truth. But anyway, so moving forward, let's go from the beginning. So, we're all up to date on how this all started. Now, there's a difference of opinion here, because in my opinion, Aber and Preach started this. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that they're into, they will call things out as they see it. I mean, Amanda Seales, that was an excellent example. They did not relent. There's probably more than 5 videos about her calling her out, and I couldn't agree more. She exhibits all the traits of a narcissist. So, their video go the fact that they had been on their podcast, and you just get I know they don't claim to be a part of the whole red pill manosphere and all of that stuff. They don't claim that. These guys have been on for ages, but somehow, sorry, it feels like breaking code. It feels like they broke the blackmail code, because these guys all feel like they're sticking together. The likes of Kevin Samuels and everybody else that falls that that umbrella. I love that the roommates haven't commented, unless they have between now and then. I love that they haven't, because it feels like Mel Code. And there's another guy that also I've watched many times. I'll put a picture of him up or something. But also he too hasn't broke the Mel Code. And everybody that has, I mean, I can't help but say it. They come off with this, what these guys are saying, this feminine energy, this na 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 na, But so in my opinion, Aber and Preach, they broke code when they made that video about them capping. They were capping. Was there a need to highlight it? I don't think so. I really don't. I also get the impression that he never liked them in the first place, because when he visited that podcast, there was an energy. I thought I imagined it, but this kind of really clears it up and makes you, know that your intuition was right, really. And, when he did ask him about so you think that we're blue pill and so on, there was a hostility there. And all of that is absolutely fine. But just like Aber and Preach, they started young, didn't they? They've had room to grow. I'd like to give the same courtesy to Fresh and Fit. I say that, but I actually do think that these guys have very serious narcissistic characteristics. Forward. After they put out that video, Fresh and Fit's reaction was outrageous. It was outrageous. Completely uncalled for, but not out of character. There's another two guys. I'll also put their picture up because I'm not familiar with their name. But what they also, when they done a criticism to Fresh and Fit, they went nuts. So they weren't doing anything out of their ordinary, but I'm sure it's been a very humbling experience for them. The apology that they made on their podcast, I mean, it was a sufficient apology. But by that point, of course, you've talked about a man's wife. Preach had every right to react the way he did. So the second video that followed on the Aber and Preach channel made sense to me. Preach said what he had to say. The integrity video, it's not that it wasn't true, but I don't know if it was necessary. By this point, it was really cutting these guys up, and I just felt like enough had been done, and they'd already started to cut off their own foot. They were messing up at this point, and I just feel like ABBA perpetuating it or saying that much more was now taken away from his class. Do you know what I mean? So we move on. So then these guys put out their whack apology when they start to see their numbers fall. That apology was embarrassing. There was nobody in their audience that wasn't offended, nobody in their audience that needed an apology. The only person that needed an apology was Aberrant Preach. You guys, the apology on the podcast was perfectly fine. It made sense. You realized your mistakes, you took accountability. So that written apology was just embarrassing. And the fact that they took it down along with the videos with all the origin stories, it just looks erratic and emotional, to be fair. So again, so we get up to that point now. These guys have put out this apology. That is followed by Aberrant Preach putting out that fluke and fraud video. They didn't. No assistant was needed at that point. You could have just left it to your audiences, your fans. Like, we've got you. We've got you. No need to start going back and forth. So this is now their fourth video, and this is what you call stooping to someone's level now, and not showing your best self. Really wasn't showing your best self. And then that video was then followed by, him buying the firearms, which I understand calling it out, but perhaps just put a comment under his Instagram or something. Another video about it. It did start to look like you're just begging views now, and I've never looked at Aberrant Preach that way. So I almost feel uncomfortable saying that, and don't even want to accuse them of that. I'm actually not going to, because I ain't comfortable with it. But you've left yourself open now to these types of accusations, haven't you? Right. Now, let's then go on to what happened next. Everybody was waiting for Kevin Samuels. Oh, well, we waited. It was, the anxiety sitting in that room. Are you going to talk about it? Are you going to mention them? But do you know what? Of course, he's not going to mention them. I learned a long time ago with Kevin Samuels, the drunk. I think she's a hip hop lady, the drunk hip hop lady. I'll find her when I edit this video. Since she's been going on his site, and it's very embarrassing, and she contradicts everything that Kevin Samuels believes. But I learned in that, and from another video by Kevin Samuels, that he makes it very clear that once people are established in their own right, leave them to do their thing, leave them to have their views. He tends not to contradict them or become controversial, because ultimately they're working together now on a similar platform. We could call it the Illuminati platform, but that's another topic. Moving on. But ultimately, so yeah, the so he shows that kind of respect. So if I'd remembered that, I would have known from the start there's no way he's going to specifically talk about this situation, because that's not his style, and he's got way too much class for that. So he spoke about it in subliminals, and boy, did he drop some gems, like the title said. It was beautiful. I absolutely loved it, and it really put it into a nutshell. But I tell you what, based on what Kevin Samuel was saying, I bet I'm right about this. Myron has already confessed that he speaks to Kevin Samuels 2 to 3 times a week. Therefore, he's definitely spoken to Kevin about this. And I think he annoyed Kevin. I think he was hard headed. I think when Kevin said the word narcissistic in his monologue, he was talking about Myron, because obviously Myron was talking about, oh, but I can, and I've got the options. And if I fly her over, I should be able to sleep with her. And, that kind of energy. And that's when Kevin would have corrected him as an older man and reminding him that a high value man has discipline. You're new to the game. What this all stemmed from was their capping video. Didn't that capping video show how new to the game they were? Are you joking? Of course, there are many high value men that just book sex workers to get on with their life, and they don't feel disrespected by the sex worker. Of course they don't. It's just part and parcel. It's an easier service rather than having to do all of the finessing and stuff. For some men, that's going to be convenient. And a woman that specializes in it, it makes sense. When they speak about that, they don't know how unfamiliar they sound with high value men, period. And then to make another video, I know I'm off topic, well, I'm not, but going somewhere else, where Fresh and Fit then put out a video that told you all about how you're meant to handle the sugar babe scenario with his profile. And what a load of rubbish. That video was just damage control, and it was embarrassing. Shut up. You don't know what it is to be that kind of rich, and to be able to just call on a service should you need to, and should that be your style. They just don't even know what that is. Like, shut up. But anyway, where was I before that? Yeah, so back to Kevin Samuels. Oh, and his beautiful show last night. Fantastic. So with that show, he let it known. I genuinely think him and Myron had a separate conversation that he was highlighting his frustration about, because Myron was talking rubbish. Now, I'm sure we've all seen the email or the text message exchanges between Myron. I don't know if that is Nina or another girl, I'm not sure, but Myron and the girl that was going to come on the platform. And Myron's exchange was so disgusting. I mean, in that exchange, if I was vetting out a serial killer, I'd know from that, okay, this is a fella that didn't get much women when he was younger. Now he feels quite entitled. He acts like an entitled female, the ones he complains about. It is ridiculous. How can you be in the middle of speaking to a woman for the first time and tell her statistics and why she should get with you? Oh, seriously, bruv, that's no game. Absolutely no game. So naturally, ABBA was irritated by these guys from the beginning. That is obvious. From he visited their podcast, the energy, I felt it. When he asked them, did you call us blue pill? It was all real for him there and then. He found them phony, corny, and he doesn't see much hope in their future as evolving men. And he could be right. If these are true narcissistic men, he's absolutely right. Speaking of narcissistic, Fresh done when Fresh speaks about on his podcast, he's mentioned that a woman who had an abortion for him, he pretended to finesse her just to get her to the clinic. Once she had the abortion, he blocked her. Believe it or not, as a person who works with many a narcissistic males, especially young males in the work that I do, that's a thing. That's a regular thing that they do. So, perhaps, Abba's just got the absolute wisdom and sees that there's no hope for these guys. But should he not be thinking along that lines? It just felt like give them room to grow. Yes, they're phony, but their stats are high. Let them keep going. We all know that it's not real power until you've got real loyalty and respect, which is what ABBA and Preach showed. That's what they have from their audience. It would be very embarrassing, but I'll be honest, if this was ABBA on purpose thinking, F these guys, I'm taking them out, yeah, he did a good job. Not only did he do a good job, it was very smartly done. And even if he didn't ever think that, he did at some point. Somewhere along video 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, he was like, boys, you guys are finished. So, I've watched their subscriptions drop immensely, but we see many YouTubers go through stuff and then they come back. So if Fresh and Fish Fit do have any integrity about them, they will continue to grow. And I wish them all the best because I love seeing this manosphere and black men on the same page and talking about productivity and the leaders and Kevin Samuel addressing male issues, female issues, and bringing it together. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it helps me for the first time have future, have hope. I had to address my own self, realizing that my respect for black men was faulty. And I've had a real revelation through this manosphere. So I want to see these guys stick together. So hopefully that's what we'll see. Okay, well, if you got to the end of my podcast, I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I will be reviewing any and anything that I see on YouTube that I feel like talking about. Take care, guys.